No, I was home. Well, it wasn't night. It was afternoon. No, I did not. I was here.
Are you telling me the truth?
Yeah.
100%?
Yeah.
You wouldn't be covering for Nate at all?
No, he was here. Even my daughter said he was here.
This is Ermelinda Palomo, a woman that authorities suspected was somehow involved in the deaths of a family of 4 in Romeoville, Illinois. The family consisted of 32-year-old Zoraida Bartolome, her husband, 38-year-old Alberto Roland, their 2 boys, 7-year-old Diego and 9-year-old Adriel, and even the 3 family dogs. What did Palomo have to do with their deaths? That's a question we'll seek to answer today, though the answer might surprise you. Another question at the heart of this story involves Palomo's live-in boyfriend, 31-year-old Nathaniel Huey Jr. This horrifying saga has more twists and turns than you'd expect, revealing years of emotional manipulation and abuse that culminated in a quadruple homicide that shocked the community of Romeoville, Illinois. But first, we must understand the couple at the center of it all. There was a lot that was strange about Palomo and Huey. For starters, Palomo was nearly 20 years older than Huey. While this might not be the strangest thing in the world, it was clear that Huey wasn't satisfied with his girlfriend, and there's a chance that it was because of their age gap. We know about his dissatisfaction because Palomo herself claimed that Huey cheated on her constantly, and he would frequently lie about it and try to cover up his actions. For Palomo's part, she was the sort of person that wasn't afraid to manipulate others, especially to get what she wanted. Her dynamic with Huey was toxic, to say the least, and the fact that he was cheating on her only made her mental health spiral further out of control. Anyone on the outside looking in would have seen Palomo and Huey and seen a regular couple. But the truth was, there was a nauseating streak of toxicity that ran through their entire dynamic. Perhaps the most striking example of this was Palomo creating fake social media profiles and messaging Huey through them. This is a bit of a chicken and the egg type of situation. Did Palomo start doing this before Huey started cheating, potentially as a way of making sure her younger boyfriend didn't leave her? Or was this a response to his infidelity? There's no way to know, but the content of these pretend conversations shed some light on just how bizarre Palomo could be, and how utterly divorced from reality she was making her boyfriend. It's fair to say that Palomo was a vengeful woman who wasn't afraid to protect what she thought was hers. Before we get into how Palomo slowly manipulated Huey's very sense of reality, we must discuss the woman that he'd recently become involved with. Her name was Zoraida Bartolome, and she lived in Romeoville as well. Romeoville isn't a very big town. With just a few tens of thousands of residents, it's the sort of place where word travels fast. At the same time, it also means that there are fewer romantic partners to choose from. This shouldn't be an issue for someone that lives with his girlfriend, and if Palomo's testimony is to be taken seriously, engaged in planning to marry that person. Even so, when Zoraida walked into Huey's office one day in 2022, he just couldn't resist talking to her. Huey had a history of infidelity that stretched all the way back to the start of his relationship with Palomo. The first time he stepped out on Palomo was back in 2015, and over the next 2 years, he cheated on her time and time again, until she at least confronted him in 2017. Huey begged Palomo to forgive him, and promised to change his ways for good, and Palomo decided to give him a chance. There were still some signs that Huey wanted experiences with women other than his girlfriend. In 2019, he reportedly confessed to her that he'd kissed a woman at a party, but claimed that that was all that happened. Once again, Palomo chose to forgive him, and their fragile relationship continued. It's unknown if Huey had relationships with any other women prior to 2022, but when he met Zoraida, everything changed. In the past, his relationships had been flings and one-off encounters, and that's exactly how he thought things would go with Zoraida as well. Even so, their relationship continued for over a year, during which time Huey got more and more attached to his secret partner. It bears mentioning that Zoraida had a family of her own, namely a husband, 2 kids, and 3 dogs. In intimate moments, Zoraida often confessed that she wasn't truly happy in her marriage. That's not to say that Alberto was a bad man, far from it. In Zoraida's own words, he was kind, generous, and a good husband all around. There was just something about the marriage that wasn't working for her, and her relationship with Huey seemed to fill that absence. Bit by bit, Huey and Zoraida's relationship began to turn into something more than just a fling. she started confiding in him, and they apparently texted and called every day. They also worked for the same engineering company, where Huey worked as a security guard, so they clearly spent a lot of time together. And every night when Huey would head home from work, he would call Zoraida so that they could talk some more. Were Huey and Zoraida in love? It's a fair assumption, one that makes the gruesome climax of this story all the more difficult to stomach. One would certainly say that they were in love, and Zoraida surely believed it, or at least she believed it until September 15th, 2023. That marked the first time that Zoraida texted Huey, only for him to not reply. This had never happened before. Why would he ignore her like this? The answer lies in Palomo's discovery of the affair, in the absolutely twisted way she decided to handle it. When Huey promised never to cheat on Paloma again, she wanted to believe him. But at the same time, she knew that he might just be saying that to get out of the conversation. So she decided to take matters into her own hands. She started by making a series of fake social media accounts through which she established contact with Huey. There's a chance that she initially wanted to make sure that her boyfriend wasn't getting tempted by other women. But sometime in July of 2023, something happened that made her kick things up a notch.
I was in his car, and on his thing, that name came up. I said, who is that? It was 4 in the morning.
When was it?
I don't know. I was with my cousin. He picked me up. I had been drinking.
Was that this week?
Oh, no, July, maybe?
Okay, so what did he say that who was this person?
He said nobody. It's a false call or something like that.
Zoraida texted Huey while he was in the car with Palomo. When she saw the message, her worst fears were confirmed. He was cheating on her yet again, and she had to do everything she could to stop it. This is when Palomo started posing as Mexican and Bulgarian drug cartel members. It was a strange choice, to say the least, but it was all part of her larger plan to take Zoraida out of commission and finally have Huey all to herself. She pretended to be the leader of a cartel and led Huey to believe he was working for him. It's possible that Huey took part in various activities, all the while believing that he was doing it on behalf of a powerful cartel leader. And then, one day, this supposed cartel leader told him something that shook Huey to his very core. He told him that Zoraida, the woman he'd been sleeping with and even thinking of moving in with at some point, was a mole. She was someone put into play by the authorities to keep tabs on Huey. In other words, she was an enemy that needed to be taken out. You can tell how tenuous Huey's grasp on reality was by this point, because he believed every single word. He was given a list of instructions to follow, and on September 15th, he cut off all contact with Zoraida as he put the plan into motion. By the way, I post true crime and new cases here every day, so if that sounds like your kind of thing, please consider subscribing. It helps a lot. In the early hours of September 17th, Romeoville police received a call requesting a welfare check on Zoraida and Alberto's home. They headed to the home and started to look around, with no clue of what they might find. Welfare checks often don't lead to anything shocking, so police had no reason to believe there was anything to worry about. However, something was rather odd. If you pay close attention to the footage, you'll see that the lights in most of the homes were on, and yet Zoraida's home was pitch black. This forced officers to shine a light in through the window, at which point they discovered a sign that something had gone terribly wrong.
Okay, I got a TV knocked over and a coffee table knocked over. Romeoville 367. Can we get another unit to Camden, please? Everything's sent for.
A coffee table and TV knocked over. This was a clear indication that some violence had occurred in the home, but police had no way to know what had happened. Was this a burglary? A case of domestic violence, perhaps? Or could this be a sign that someone had been killed in this home?
Here, wait. Keep shining so I can kind of see a little bit better now.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
Lights are all off. 3 cars.
No, there's nothing in this room.
Compton, the lights are off. It's 9 o'clock on a Sunday.
And no, there's lights on the back room. You can see it through that second.
Hold the back here real quick.
The fact that the lights were off were suspicious, especially considering it was a Sunday night. Bit by infinitesimal bit, the situation was getting increasingly intense. Eventually, officers found a way to gain entry into the residence. The back door was unlocked, a detail which would prove extremely important to the investigation later on. For now, it gave the police a way to enter what they were quickly starting to believe might be an active crime scene.
Okay, I'll cover this window. This window's open. No, it's not.
Oh God. Dogs are dead. 2 dead dogs.
I need more units here. Hold this.
350.
The sight of a dead dog is enough to make anyone's stomach churn, even a cop that's probably seen far worse things. Immediately, the officer in charge starts to escalate his own response to the situation, requesting more units in a voice that captures the air of urgency that was now required. You see, 2 dead dogs wouldn't just be left lying around like that. The fact that they lay unburied suggested that something terrible had happened to their owners as well.
Units from 367. I'm waiting for at least 1 more to make entry.
Realizing that this was a much more dangerous situation than he previously thought, the officer calls in the details and heads for his vehicle. We now have knocked over furniture and 2 dead dogs, a clear sign of not just a struggle, but a potentially fatal encounter. The officer pulls out a tactical shield, since there was a chance that an armed suspect might emerge at any moment. A rifle is retrieved from the police vehicle, with the officer fully intending to use lethal force if necessary. He has no idea if there's someone in the house, or if they're going to get involved in a gunfight. He positions his backup officers and prepares to go in. Zoraida's home had just become one of the most dangerous places in the entire town.
You guys hold the front, okay? From a position of cover, please. I don't know if anybody's in there or not.
You got another door right here.
Hey, you know what? Hey, one of you guys holding this one of you guys holding the front.
There were no other side doors, right?
No, not that I know of. Here we go. Hey, Ron.
Yep.
Here's what we're gonna do, okay? I'm gonna boot it. We're gonna go nice and slow, all right?
You guys see right on me?
Drake, you stay behind me.
Right when we get here, there's going to be 1 dead dog. You got to get over.
Hey, no, you're behind me, okay?
To the left, there's a 2nd dead dog.
You stay in the back of the stack. You watch our 6 as we move through the house, okay? Corey, come up here, cover this door, this window. This lights is dead.
Chris, here.
Here, come on, you.
No, I got one.
Check the door.
Here, cover the window. What do you see, Corey? Boom, move up.
399, I'm 23. Nothing. Move it up.
How many dead dogs you got?
We got 1 dead dog right here. We got a 2nd dead dog over to the left.
All right, watch out. Watch out.
Hey, why don't you check the door handle first?
Inside the house, police found not just 2 dead dogs, but Zoraida and her entire family brutally murdered. A total of 20 shots had been fired, and even the children hadn't been spared. Police immediately began investigating the tragedy, and it didn't take them very long to find out about Zoraida's involvement with Huey. The following Monday, Huey went to work like he always did. His mood showed no major changes, and Palomo behaved perfectly normal as well. At first, police suspected that the murders were part of a robbery gone wrong. This assumption was strengthened by the fact that there was spray paint on the walls. As it turned out, this was all part of Palomo's design. Upon discovering text messages between Zoraida and Huey, police arrived at Paloma's home on September 18th.
I know you were talking on the phone with your husband right now.
Husband
Okay.
or boyfriend?
Okay. Does he live here with you? How long have you guys been together?
2015.
Okay. We're investigating a murder. Okay?
Murdered someone.
So
Palomo tried to pretend that she didn't know anything about the murders, but police already knew that Huey was involved, and they knew that Palomo was in on it somehow. They take her into their car and start to interrogate her, paying close attention to her answers.
how long have you known Huey?
Since probably 2015.
Okay. Why are you scared of him?
Oh, I'm not scared. Well,
Okay. Why are you scared right now?
because when I called him, because I was scared, I didn't know where he was.
Okay.
He said, someone's following me.
Okay.
So I called. And then I heard him say, why are you following me? Do you want to search the car? And then someone said to him, there are messages from you, and it's because her husband found out you were having an affair. And I didn't know that.
You didn't know what?
That he was having an affair.
Okay.
From the sounds of things, Huey was being tracked as well. Palomo was trying to make it seem like Zoraida's husband had found out about the affair, potentially in an attempt to pin the blame on him. In fact, the entire story she told the officers seemed to be one long, rehearsed alibi. Meanwhile, police headed to Huey's workplace to ask him a few questions as well.
So we were talking with the bosses, and they said, well, we already went through phones, they already got one half of the conversation, and you said you talked to her on your phone, right? Okay. So what we'd like, or what we're asking for, is consent to get the text messages off your phone between you and her, or the Snapchat or whatever it is between you, so we have both sides of it. We're trying to eliminate you as a suspect, but...
Huey seemed unwilling to comply with this simple request. He seemed to want to get his hands on his phone at all times because he wasn't sure the police would like what they found when they looked into it.
We're done with it. I agree with you, but again, there's it would take us, a couple hours to pull information off the phone that could eliminate you as a suspect, like right from the start. It's up to you.
Eventually, Huey agrees to go to the police station after work, where he ends up having an even less productive conversation with him.
All right. Well, I'm not trying to ruin your marriage or life, so not like I'm gonna, I'll try to keep this, if we can, from just with us in this room talking. But we're trying to figure out what happened at that house. If she ever told you about any other, like, romantic relationships she had out of her marriage?
He or
her? Did she say her husband cheating on her, or does she say she ever didn't pass anything? When you leave this room, we're not telling you work anything. It's none of their business. This is our conversation, so it's up to you, whatever you want to tell them. Obviously, we talk to her family, we talk to friends and stuff, hence why we're here, and that's why we're sitting in this room talking to you. And, I gotta ask, did you have anything to do with this?
Once again, Huey didn't budge. He didn't want the cops knowing anything about what he'd done, but police had already figured out what had happened over the course of their investigation. While Palomo was being interrogated, she concocted a story about Huey being asleep on Friday night after the two of them drank large amounts of alcohol. She and Huey didn't sleep in the same bed, with Palomo claiming he slept in the garage. According to her version of events, her daughter's boyfriend saw Huey sleeping at around 5 a.m. on Saturday morning, which would have been roughly the time that Zoraida and her family were killed. She was trying her best to create an alibi for her boyfriend, but police could tell that she was lying.
Okay, if he were to leave in the middle of the night one day, would it be safe to say that you probably would have not known?
No, I think everybody knows when he leaves, because when you slam our door, the front door, you don't even have to slam it. Like, you hear it, and the house is, it's fragile. You hear everything. So, no. Especially, maybe if I would, Friday night, maybe, because we were drinking. And if I would have passed out on Friday in the morning, maybe he could have done that. But I had been sleeping off a hangover. So.
Did you go anywhere Saturday night then?
No, I was home. Well, it wasn't night, it was afternoon. No, I did not. I was here.
Are you telling me the truth?
According to police reports, Palomo convinced Huey that Zoraida was a mole who was out to kill him. Believing himself to be working for a cartel, Huey knew that he had to get to Zoraida first. So he asked Palomo to drive him up to Zoraida's residence. It was apparently Palomo's idea to make the quadruple homicide seem like a robbery gone wrong and to use spray paint to make it look like kids had done it, though she sent these instructions through her cartel leader persona. At around 3:17 a.m. on September 16th, Palomo and Huey arrived at Zoraida's home. Huey cut a hole in a window, but then entered through the unlocked back door. The first person he confronted was Alberto, who tried to tackle him, but was shot multiple times. Following this, he killed Zoraida and the boys, along with the dogs. Everyone suffered multiple gunshot wounds. After finishing the job, Huey came back out. He and Paloma drove back home. They pretended like nothing happened over the next few days, but when police started to close in, they knew they only had one option: to run. Huey and Palomo left Illinois, prompting police to conduct a nationwide manhunt for him. They were eventually spotted on security cameras at a Walmart in Catoosa, Oklahoma. This tiny town only has a few thousand residents, so Huey and Palomo might have thought that they were going to be safe there. Instead, they were spotted at Walmart, and footage shows them smiling as they exited the store. What Huey and Palomo didn't know was that the police were already waiting for them. Once they heard the sound of sirens, they tried to make a getaway, but their great escape had undeniably come to an end. In his mad dash to escape, Huey crashed his car on the freeway, and the engine burst into flames. With no options left, his deranged state of mind took over. Huey shot Paloma in the head before turning the gun on himself. Eventually, all that the police were left with were two corpses and a car that was burned to a crisp. This is one of those tragic stories where everyone dies, including the perpetrator. There's no lesson here, no moral, only the bleak reality of how easily manipulated human beings are and how terrifyingly violent they can become at the drop of a hat. The death of innocent children could have been avoided, but a combination of Huey's violent streak and Palomo's manipulation sealed their fate.
Floorboard! Get her! Got cover! Grab her belt! You got that door?
So what do you think of this case? Were Paloma's manipulation the true cause of this tragedy? Or did Huey have a dark side all along? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you like the way we create these videos and want to help bring more cases like this to light, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives. Thank you once again for watching.